design affects the budget in many ways, anywhere from the overall form and size of the building down to the selection of the materials and the systems within it. A good designer will pay a lot of attention to identifying and working with the client's priorities, because those can vary from preference to initial upfront cost versus long-term longevity. Identifying appropriate efficiencies to actually minimize the footprint of the building, overlap, identifying programmatic spaces, really just being efficient in how the space lays out. And then on top of that, what are the appropriate systems, materials, and selections within the space. Kodet's process towards budget consciousness is an integral part within our design system. We use kind of an ongoing tracking system of the budget as we go throughout. So really, we want to be proactive on cost rather than reactive. And what I mean by that is a lot of the times a client or someone will prefer to have a formal third-party cost estimator, which is great as kind of insurance through the process. But Kodet, throughout that, will keep an ongoing list, tally, spreadsheet of the costs. So as we make each decision, they're informed, they're up to date. We know right off the top about how this will impact budget, and we can give that to the client as we make the decisions together, what best informs the costs. Pleasant Hill Library is owned by Dakota County, which has a really strong preference for investing in the future for longer term kind of goals and maintenance of the facility. So a lot of systems and materials were selected for the longest use, kind of the maximum return on investment they can get with their systems and materials. But as part of that, leaves proportionately less for the more internal kind of finishes selection or the more subtle design elements. So Kodet had to be really selective in any design elements we were trying to incorporate, that they were strategic, meaningful, and maximizing the impacts they could have. A few examples include a subtle but really impactful turning of the ceiling grid system to a 45 degrees, so easy miter cuts for the contractor, yet more intuitive radial wayfinding throughout the space at nearly the same cost. On top of that, the lighting and mechanical systems within the ceiling had this really clear rhythm. They just fell into place that creates an efficiency, yet beauty in design. Another element, my favorite element, was the graphics in a lot of the study rooms. So we identified study rooms per historic Hastings elements, and each room had this beautiful graphic that just identified a strong sense of place, both for the meeting room itself, for the Hastings, and really a minimum cost impact on the project.
So at Pleasant Hill Library, I think we were very conscious of the budget and realizing that our design decisions would have major impacts on the design and the cost. I think you can apply your budget to different factors, but if you really put your focus on making people feel welcome and making the space feel open and inviting, that's, I think, where you can have the biggest impact when it comes to spending money. And at the project too, because it's a public library, we're very conscious of kind of the effects that it has. We recognize that it's public money being spent, that it's tax dollars at use, and so we want to make sure that we're applying them in very strategic ways that provide the best results, kind of the best bang for the buck.